Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Canada, you know we love you in Africa, the Big C drop, but there's no way we live more than the good old boys down south and the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful March the 1st, 2019. Big C will be calling in shortly. This is Charlton and Big C Sports. I also want to say there's so much going on in the sports universe, and I feel like it's Happy Friday. Everybody's getting down on Happy Friday. Big C calling in shortly. And, you know, we have news happening. Of course, NFL is there's always talking to NFL about who's going where. We heard about Jason Witten going back to the Dallas Cowboys and leaving the broadcast booth. Also, you know, if somebody's hand size, does hand size really matter? If a guy has big hands or small feet or a big hairdo, I don't think it matters at all, but maybe I'm different. I am a Californian. I think if the guy can play, the guy can play. Give Murray the chance. If he can play, he can play. Also, baseball, you know, there's a lot of talk about will Bryce Harper actually help the Philadelphia Phillies. I don't know. Only time will tell. But I do know he's not the best player. I don't even think he's one of the top 15 players in baseball. But he's getting, if you get the money, you're worth everything that the owner will give you. When it comes to fairness and equality, we talk about it all the time. Where there's what's going on in the White House, or where there's, you know, people in Hollywood get in trouble too. And some really shocking things. We know Robert Kraft and his instant issues, his issues, whatever you want to call it. We know that. And then, you know, shockingly, Larry Baer today an issue, you know, with his spouse on tape. Men got to know everything you do is on tape. I want to say today's segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. I just, you know, I'm thinking about today is a happy Friday. It should be a happy Friday. And for most people, it's a happy Friday. You can say that it is, except if you're caught up in a scandal. And I know we're looking forward to sports. There's some great NBA basketball games going on tonight with the Sacramento Kings at home, and they're playing the LA Clippers. That's a game that it's really, everything's on the marbles. Will they make the playoffs? There's so many teams hanging around the bottom part of the 8. You got, whether it's San Antonio, whether you have the Clippers, you have the Kings, and you have the Lakers, of course. People want to know about that. But I do want to say that is Dr. Seuss' birthday coming up on March the 2nd, and a lot of people learn how to read because their parents taught them to read. And oftentimes they would get a book, you know, by the great Dr. Seuss. So congratulations as we go into the weekend asking everybody to read. But I know Big C just chimed in. And Big C, I was just talking, you know, there's so much going on in this country. Whether it's POTUS going over to South Korea and saying that he just wanted to fly around on Air Force One because he didn't really accomplish anything. You have the issue with Bob Kraft saying that wasn't him on the videotape. And now you have Larry Baer, you know, out of the San Francisco Giants. Now, San Francisco, New England, that means we got the East Coast and the West Coast covered. Now, I don't know if you are aware of what happened, Big C. You probably are, since you have you see things before I get them out here on the West Coast. But just give me your thoughts on Baer, the CEO of the San Francisco Giants. They just retired Barry Bonds' jersey. Okay, Barry Bonds' jersey had that ceremony just, you know, last season. They had everybody there. The late Willie McCovey, they had him there. You know, they say, hey, kid, Willie Mays was there. Larry Baer was there. All I know is what I saw on tape. Have you seen what happened in San Francisco with Baer and his spouse? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, yes, Charlton, it's been all over the news outlets. Charlton, the CEO and president of the San Francisco Giants, Larry Baer, he and his wife gets into a scuffle over a cell phone that he's trying to remove from her hand.
Yeah.
And as this incident is going on, she falls out of a chair. You know, I didn't see him strike her or anything like that, or even, you know, physically push her. As he was pulling the phone, she was falling out of the chair. Now, they say this incident, they issued a statement that this was about a family issue, Charlton, which, you know, as Robert Kraft would say, I was just driving by this place and went in to get a massage.
Yeah, a family issue.
So, you know, this is what I'm my injector, Charlton, is that she was attempting to go through his cell phone, and he went to retrieve his cell phone from her. And, this incident escalated to what it was, where he was pulling the phone, and, she slid off the chair in the incident, and he removed the phone. He never struck her in any kind of way, Charlton. I never saw him put his hands on her body physically, but, the police were there investigating, and as we advocate, there's no violence against women of any kind, Charlton.
Yeah.
But, cameras are every place, everywhere. He removed the phone. He walked away from the incident, Charlton.
Yeah.
And, from what I saw, it would be hard-pressed to see police pressing charges in this incident, Charlton, because both parties were culpable in this. They were both tugging on a phone.
Yeah.
I don't know whose phone it was, but, possession is 9/10 of the law. But
Yeah.
if you own some property and somebody picked up your property, Charlton,
Yeah.
you have a right to retain your property, to go back and get your property. So if it was her phone, it's one story. If it's his phone, it's another story. I tend to believe because he was walking away with the phone that it was his.
Yeah.
And she had taken it from him, Charlton. But, we're not judge and jurors in this situation, and everybody's going to draw their opinion on what they saw on tape, Charlton.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball will investigate this, Charlton, and come with a ruling of whatever they want to on this, as well as the police department there in San Francisco.
Yeah, and as a progressive city, San Francisco, again, from what I saw, because, again, everybody sees different things. I had someone play the video, and she was, like, screaming, like, help me, help me, help me. So I don't know if you're yelling, help me, help me, help me, when someone's trying to take their phone back. Again, everybody has their own perception. I always go back to the Rodney King trial.
I also heard her say, I don't believe this.
Yeah.
So, when I'm listening to the different verbiage that's coming out of this saying, I don't believe this, that you're wrestling your phone away from me.
Yeah.
But if it's his phone, why is she so anxious to hold on to it, Jonathan? Like I said, there's a devil advocate for both sides of this story.
Yeah.
We only see the end piece of it in the video where she's sitting in the chair and she has his phone or has a phone, Jonathan.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the crux of the whole thing right there.
Yeah.
She's looking at this situation. He's looking at this situation. I think it comes down to whose phone, whose property did the phone belong to.
Yeah. I tell you what, everybody knows, and I just want to make this so clear because we always say in our program, there's no excuse for domestic violence. I don't know what happened. I just heard some screaming on the cell phone on the image that I saw, and I just ask every man, just imagine as we make excuses for other men, whether it's Bob Kraft or whether it's POTUS. I know all of us have at least a mother, and some of us have had a spouse or at least a daughter. And as we try to make excuses, I'll go back to something I saw at the Coliseum. This is about 20 years ago when I was doing some work with CBS Sports. And there was a Hall of Fame, I won't say Hall of Fame, but an all-pro football player, about 6'6", 300 and something pounds. And he was yelling at the top of his lungs at this young lady. And I'm just going to say she's maybe in her 20s. And nobody said anything. No one from the TV crew, no one said a thing. And it went on for about a good 30 seconds, very loud. And at the end of it, they jumped into his Ferrari and took off. Now, all's fair in love and war. But I just don't want to get to the point where we try to rationalize, because sometimes it might be our own child. And some man's going to say, yeah, well, she fell on the ground, but she wouldn't let go of his phone. That's why she fell on the ground. I don't want to give any man an excuse because I have a daughter myself. I don't want any man to think, well, she fell on the ground on her own. People don't just fall on the ground. And I want to cop that behavior. But I want to ask your thoughts, Big C. Oftentimes we're seeing black athletes, if they're even accused of something, like protesting the military, being anti-American, that garbage they held against Kaepernick. We're seeing an owner was a billionaire in Bob Kraft. I would say Bear's a billionaire also. I believe they own Safeways. Now, we're seeing Caucasian men with this Me Too movement where they used to be hidden. Kraft's on tape, Bear's on tape. Everybody tries to make excuses for them, Big C. Why do they get such benefit of the doubt? Your thoughts?
Well, when you look at Kraft and Bear, if you compare the two, we've seen the Bear tape of what has occurred.
Yeah.
The Robert Kraft tape, the Bear tape will cover for the Robert Kraft.
Yeah.
Robert Kraft's tape, Charlton, will not see the light of day. Now, the reason why this tape came out is because TMZ.
Yeah.
TMZ is always going out paying for video to get, prominent people on the airway, Charlton, to show indiscretions or whatever they want to show.
Yeah.
And, you're going to get a lot of news now about this bear incident in San Francisco, Charlton. This will be a deflection away from the Robert Kraft issue that's going on down in Jupiter, Florida.
Yeah.
You'll hear very little of that. And if you listen to how this was described on television today, Charlton, versus how Robert Kraft was addressed, there was a lot more sentiment towards Robert Kraft dealing in prostitution, Charlton, with women that were, in a place of ill repute that did not want to be there.
Yeah.
Versus this situation with Bear and his wife that happened in a public, setting.
Yeah.
It's hard to judge any of this, Charlton. I mean, the media is like, they're going to get you to believe what they want you to believe. They're going to announce it the way they want you to announce it.
Yeah.
But the incident with Bear and his wife, Charlton, a very unfortunate scenario.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen black athletes get into incidents with their wives and their girlfriends. They lose their jobs. Matter of fact, just today, Alex Collins, running back for the Baltimore Ravens, got into a car accident about a mile away from the facility, Charlton.
Yeah.
He was arrested. After he was arrested, the team released him, Charlton.
Wow.
And so this wasn't an incident versus another human being, Charlton. This was against a physical structure that he ran into with his car. Now, the situation of his condition was not released, whether he was intoxicated or under influence of anything, Charlton. That was not put in the statements. He was going to be arraigned, I guess, by the police, come Monday.
Yeah.
But the team did not hesitate, Charlton, in releasing him. Now, this is the same team that released Ray Rice several years ago, Charlton, for the incident with his wife. And, now teams are hiring players who strike women, with gusto. But, you look at this situation with Alex Collins. Eddie, he was the 11th leading rusher in the NFL last year.
Yeah.
And he has an auto accident, Charlton, and he gets released by the ball club. So when you look at that and you take into account the situation with Kraft paying for prostitution down in Florida, you look at the situation with Bear in San Francisco, wife falling to the ground in a tussling match over a cell phone, Charlton.
Yeah.
And the treatment of black players, Charlton, in the professional leagues, that anything occurs with a black player, you're out of a job.
Yeah, and I want to get your thoughts on this because, again, why, and this is real talk, but you don't have to have your kids leave the room. You don't have to feel embarrassed that your grandparents are listening. But it's a really teaching moment because in a lot of relationships, let's be honest, there are a lot of people who are always sneaking around to see who's on somebody's cell phone because they're looking if they can find what they do in their own lives. And sometimes there might be a woman accusing a man of doing the same stuff she's doing and pretending she's not doing. And now we know, I mean, this is true, has been since the beginning of the time, Big C. Men with money have options. And women with good looks have options. Why is it, and everybody has their own opinion, but for the women who are listening anywhere in the universe, what is it about you that makes you want to go through your husband's or boyfriend's cell phone and while you're hiding stuff on your own phone? Big C, have you ever crossed that path? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I've had my phone go through. I'm not curious about what's on anybody's phone. I figure, that's your own personal property.
Yeah.
And so if somebody is insecure, what is going through somebody's phone going to prove anyway? Are you going to leave that person? If you're going to leave that person, the phone wasn't the reason why you're leaving the person. You could use it as an excuse. But, if you're going to leave, it's like when I look at the Robert Kraft situation.
Yeah.
Everybody will go say, well, Robert Kraft, he was married to his wife for 38 years and she passed away a couple of years ago from cancer. And he's a single man, so he has the right to do these things. Well, he's dating a woman that's 28 years old, Charlton.
Yeah.
He was married to his wife longer than this woman that's lived that he's dating now.
Hey, love comes in all ages, right?
And you think about this. You're dating a 28-year-old model. You're a 75-year-old man.
Yeah.
I know she's with you for the look.
It's got to be the love. It's got to be the love, Big C.
It's all about love and look.
Yeah.
But this is what I don't understand. You have this 28-year-old model that you're dating, that you're living with.
Yeah.
And you got to take off and drive 30 miles away from home. What? so she can't see where you are. She's not going to be driving in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
So you're putting yourself in a neighborhood where you know she's not going to be in, a
Yeah.
seedy neighborhood, okay?
Yeah.
You can Google the area that he was in, and there's a massage parlor every 2 doors down, Charlton,
Yeah.
on that street.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you look at these situations, everybody right now is putting up a smoke screen for
Yeah.
Robert Kraft and an empathy story. You know, they're putting on pity parties for him everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you can't hold this against the man, you know, because, you know, men will stray. They're saying all kind of things.
Yeah.
And now the story is that the woman that he was seeing in the massage parlor was a 44-year-old.
Oh, really?
Now, I find that hard to believe, Joe. You got a 28-year-old at home.
Who knows? Hey, maybe
going to a massage parlor,
Yeah.
you know, to see a 44-year-old woman.
Yeah.
And yet they got all these women in there that's forced to live there, Charlton, that's 20 years old and under.
Yeah.
That's in this massage parlor. So, you know, the stories are starting to build for him.
Yeah.
But just like the incident there in San Francisco, Charlton, as you state, why is it so imperative that you go into this man's cell phone?
Yeah.
Now, this phone is used for everything, Charlton. I mean, if he's a CEO of a professional organization,
Yeah.
you got to realize the number of contacts and things that are in that phone.
That are
business,
private.
personal, all
Yeah.
that stuff, Charlton.
Yeah.
And that's part of his business.
Yep.
So, I mean, for you to want to be a private investigator in his business, Charlton,
Yeah.
you got to be a real insecure person.
Yep.
And not only that, that's professional knowledge that he has in there.
Yeah.
I mean, and his privacy
Yeah.
with the organization. And the wife is not part of the organization, Charlton.
Yeah, I think that, and that's a moment of jealousy. Now, I've known a lot of people, broke and wealthy, and they live how they want to live. Women tend to lie about it. Men tend to lie about it too. If you just be who you are, just don't hurt other people. I think what Kraft was doing is wrong because that's entrapment of young women who don't want to be there. But a lot of white men have always lived that way from slavery, and we just got out of Black History Month, Big C. Now, we're about Googling what we say because a lot of people don't like how we talk. They want us to be, well, you know, don't be so honest. Just tell the truth. Speak in euphemisms. I don't want to speak in a euphemism. A lot of mainstream, when they brought slaves over from the African continent in South America as well, they were having those women anytime they wanted. They weren't married to them. They had wives too. They had wives and concubines. It was about power. And power, they had no one to answer to. They were white men. They did what they wanted to do. I'm not saying that just Kraft and Bear meet that example, but they really do meet the example of the same men that had in the Middle Passage. They had wives, but they had their way with every woman they wanted. That's how miscegenation started. So I think when people say, oh, I'm surprised that Bob Kraft is doing what he's doing, or surprised that Larry Bear may have something in his cell phone that his wife is looking at. Well, maybe she was looking at it because she knows the history of how mainstream has treated people. I don't think that's too far-fetched to say that, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, men of power and wealth, I mean, our president is number one on that list.
Yeah.
When you look at the women that he's paid off.
Yeah.
You know, you got a wife at home with an infant son, and you're out, you know, paying women $130,000 to sleep with him.
But why did POTUS...
It just didn't start.
Yeah.
It just didn't start with the first lady, Charlton. It started in his first marriage.
Yeah.
You got to think about his second wife. She was pregnant while he was married to his first wife, Charlton.
Yeah.
Marla Maples was pregnant. She was a personal assistant, so he was having an affair with her, got her pregnant, and divorced his first wife, married her.
Let me ask you this
Divorced
question.
her, Charlton, and you know, now he's married to the wife that he has and all the women that he had in between. So, I mean, it's a position of power what they do.
Yeah.
The powerful do these things, Charlton, regardless of nationality. The powerful do these things. Everyone has a trail. I mean, look at President Kennedy.
Yeah.
The late President Kennedy. Everyone talked about his, you know, the life that he had while he was in the White House, Charlton.
Yeah.
That, you know, his wife meant nothing to him other than a figure that everybody could see because he was going to enjoy himself regardless.
All the time.
This is all men of power, Charlton, we think about. Even you go back to the great Roosevelt as president. You know, he had a mistress. He died with his mistress.
Yeah.
In Warren Springs, Georgia, while his wife was in Washington, D.C.
And that's why they got...
His mistress was with him when he died. So when you talk about men of power, Charlton, this has always been their M.O. So this is what they do. And, you know, you think about it. The wives don't want to leave these situations because they're comfortable in that life.
Very
so,
comfortable, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
You know, do you want to go live in a condo somewhere when you got this, 20,000 square foot house?
Yacht?
And maids and chauffeurs and all that stuff?
Yeah, 300-foot yacht. I understand. Last question I'll ask you about that, because I'm telling you, you and I have both been in the entertainment industry and being around athletics forever. It happens more in 9 to 5. I think most people that are messing around on their spouse, they do it with somebody they work with. They're not out there, finding a millionaire or a guy that's worth $1 billion. That's like winning the lottery. All you got to do, it's the same thing you do with a broke guy. But one you can pretend you love, the other you're frustrated with. I just hope that people can protect the women that we're with. And I don't want to see any woman hurt, and I don't want to make an excuse for a man. Oh, I was pulling my cell phone and she fell down. No, she was yelling, help me, help me, help me. And if that's someone that I care about, I would hope that somebody would step up and help. Big C, I do want to just get on something about real fighting. John Jones is fighting this weekend. Now, he's fighting Anthony Smith. Jones is 23-1. Anthony Smith is 31-13. And Smith has had some issues, growing up. These guys that want to fight, you really got to figure out they're a different breed of cat. Most people, even if you're a tough guy, you want to walk away from a fight. You're not trying to get into fisticuff with anybody, but it's part of American culture. We love the fight business, whether it's the late Muhammad Ali, the great Mike Tyson when he was doing this thing back in the day. Everybody loved. Look at George Foreman. Now he has that George Foreman grill. I think it cooks too much juice out of the grill, in my own opinion. But you think about it, one of the fighters had a lot of issues growing up, ended up having some drinking issues, and found himself in a hospital one day when he crashed his car into a ditch. But he got focused. He was able to get focused again, and now he's going to fight. He's going to fight against Jones, who's probably going to beat him. What is it? Are we still into seeing a guy that's 23-1 fighting a guy that has 13 losses, almost half of his wins? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you think about the 13 losses, the 13 losses are not because you did not try, Charlton. You just happened to lose those particular outings. And when you look at the MMA, it's a different type of loss in the MMA, Charlton, because even when you win, you get beat down. That's the thing about it. I mean, you don't come out of any fight looking pretty in these days, Charlton.
Right.
And so, you can lose in so many different ways, but it's the nature of the beast in the MMA, Charlton.
Yeah.
It's about violence. And all you need is 5 seconds to win a fight, Charlton, in the MMA.
Yeah.
It's not like boxing. You get one good shot in, Charlton, now you have somebody down in a submissive way.
Yeah.
And they're going to call the fight, Charlton. So you're looking for that one unique opportunity. I know it's like when Mike Tyson was in his heyday.
Yeah.
He was looking for that one hook that would put you down.
Yeah.
The MMA, you get that one hook, Charlton, and it's all over. You get a hook, you get a kick, you get an elbow, you get a choke out. That's what it takes to me. So everybody has an ample opportunity in the MMA.
Yeah.
Don't always be discouraged by looking at the loss record of an individual. Jones has been a great fighter, only one loss, Charlton.
Yeah.
But it shows that he can be beat with that one loss.
Yeah. And sometimes keeping his head in the game and not letting anything disrail you. I met a guy, Kung Lee, who's also an MMA guy, retired, and just met him over the weekend, Big C. And a lot of times, those guys get beaten up so bad, you don't really notice it until they get up and try to walk. So I wish the best to Anthony Smith and also Jones. I still think that Jones, he could be what Muhammad Ali is if he can keep his nose clean or whatever kind of bad meat he's eating, Big C. But I know for guys to fight that business, they got to have something. And I don't want to just say that every guy is clean or dirty, but you got to agree, Big C, they have to have something in their system to not have all that pain stop them, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, take a Novocaine shot, I guess.
Yeah.
Before the match.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's a different breed of individual that can sit there and take that type of punishment, Charlton. I mean, boxing was a difficult sport, and you had gloves on. Now, the gloves that they use in the MMA, Charlton, are basically like speed bag gloves.
Yeah.
I mean, what an offensive lineman would wear in pro football actually is what those gloves came from.
Yeah.
If you go back into the 80s in pro football, you'll see offensive linemen wearing those same type of gloves that they use in MMA.
Yeah.
So it's a real tough catch. There's no padding in there, Charlton. But, not the glove, but think about getting kicked and kneed and elbowed.
Yeah.
All those things you're allowed to do to your opponent. So I'll always question whether you have your full faculties about you to go in and have that fight.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, Kale Sonnen, who will be one of the broadcasters on this fight, Charlton.
Yeah.
And I've talked to Kale on many occasions, Charlton, and he's a former champion and all, but it just comes to a point of attrition where you can no longer take that in life.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. So everybody, if you want to be a tough guy, and I've seen a lot of them, get into the world of the MMA. When I watch those guys train and fight, they're really tough guys. They got to go jiu-jitsu, karate, Muay Thai. They got to know a lot of different things, and it's a skilled sport. And so guys are trained for that punishment. So we just wish everybody well in the fight business. Big C, I want to jump on baseball just for a moment here. I know there's a lot coming up. We want to cover some things on, black actors in movies also. But when you look at opening day, Major League Baseball, it opens March 28th. It's the earliest opening day in the history of Major League Baseball. And I know that people, just right around the corner. And we've had so many things. And do we have a stop clock, a time clock for when they can throw a pitch, whether it's instant replay? We all look at those things, but still sending some vibrations in the baseball universe. Bryce Harper, yesterday, after the Phillies signed him, they sold an extra 100,000 tickets. I won't say extra, but they sold 100,000. Maybe they were going to do that anyway because that's a great sports town. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I think that's the bump coming from the Bryce Harper signing, because your ticket sales are always going to be there.
Yeah.
But to instantly get $100,000 in ticket sales, extra 100,000 tickets sold, Charlton, on the day that you sign him, means that you've had an immediate financial impact, Charlton. And so the Phillies are going to recoup the money that they paid Bryce Harper. You're going to see all the likeness of him, Charlton, his jersey, everything saying Bryce Harper. They're going to get their money back. And if you sell 100,000 tickets, Charlton, in one day, that means that you're going to hit that 3.5 million ticket sales during the season, Charlton, that every ball club hopes to have in Major League Baseball. But an even more striking number, Charlton, there was rumor came out today that the Dodgers offered Bryce Harper a 4-year deal at $45 million a year. Now, I'm not good at math, but I think $45 million a year, Charlton, is better than $25 million a year, to some people.
Yeah.
But, I'm wondering what was Scott Boras thinking if the Dodgers did put that offer on the table, Charlton, because after 4 years, he would have been a free agent. He would have only been 30 years old.
Yeah.
And he would have been right back out there on that free agent market, Charlton, to test the waters again.
Yeah.
So, when I sit and listen to these numbers that are being tossed around, it's hard for me to believe that he would have turned down $180 million over 4 years, Charlton, versus $330 million over 13 years.
Well, I when you think about Boras, he's a Northern California guy, lives up in the Sacramento area, Elk Grove, I believe, and I know when you think about the agency, there are a lot of African-American agents also. Jay-Z, he's out there in the sports agent business also. I think there's a lot of LeBron James, African-American sports agent. There's a lot of agents out there who are also trying to get into that business with Rock Nation, with Jay-Z. There's a thing, I think it was something also an article in Ebony Magazine or Essence Magazine back in February that talked about the life of sports agents. It's called the Black Sports Agent Association. So when you think about Harper, please tell me, Big C, Washington Nationals last year, they were not a team that was challenging for anything. And he was their Barry Bonds. What made him go from having a team almost run into the abyss, lost a manager in Dusty Baker a couple years ago that got them into the playoffs? He was still the guy that they were paying the most money, more than anybody in the organization. If he's worth it, why are the Nationals so down in your thoughts?
Well, you got to look at it from this perspective. Bryce Harper is not the best player in Major League Baseball, but he is the biggest name in Major League Baseball.
Why?
That's what he brings, Charlton. Well, this marketing of him ever since he left high school in Las Vegas, Charlton. When he left high school, he went to a junior college to play, Charlton. He dropped out of high school and went to play baseball in a junior college. At 21 years old, he was Rookie of the Year in the Major League. So he made a quick ascent, Charlton, and he became marketable. And the market has stayed there, Charlton, because he was an East Coast player, Charlton. When you look at the other players, Charlton, that are better than Bryce Harper in baseball, you got to realize there were 3 contracts, Charlton, signed in Black History Month.
Yeah.
There were 3 of the largest contracts in baseball history. Arsenault signed with the Rockies. You had Machado signed with the Padres.
Yep.
Then you had Harper signed with the Phillies. You think about those contracts. Of those 3 contracts, Charlton, Harper was the least talented of the 3 players.
I know
But
it.
he was the more marketable of the 3 players. And that's what it comes down to now in professional sports, Charlton. Where's the marketability?
Yeah.
That's what people are looking for. You know, everybody wants to say in the broadcast arena, especially in basketball, that Madison Square Garden is the place that you want to play. It's the mecca of basketball. It used to be until cable television came along, Charlton.
Yeah.
Once cable television came along, it was no longer the mecca.
Yeah.
So when you look at baseball, Charlton, you look at the greater teams in Major League Baseball, none of them were in pursuit of Bryce Harper. They say the Dodgers and the Giants were in pursuit, Charlton. There was never anything put on table. And like I said, I'd have a hard time believing that the Dodgers offered him $45 million a year and he turned it down for 4 years, Charlton.
Yeah.
That's hard to believe. But you think about the Red Sox, the Yankees, you never heard them in the sweepstakes. The Astros, you didn't hear them. The Milwaukee Brewers, you didn't hear them in the sweepstakes, Charlton.
No.
You didn't hear the Atlanta Braves. We're talking about playoff teams from last year, Charlton. You did not hear any playoff teams from last year being in pursuit other than the Dodgers for Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
That's the L.A. market, Charlton.
Yeah.
And that's the number 2 market in the country.
Yeah.
But when you look at those other staple teams, Charlton, in Major League Baseball, they didn't care about a Bryce Harper.
No.
You think about, of all teams, Charlton, that the Colorado Rockies, in that launching pad that they have up there at Coors Field in Denver, Charlton,
Exactly.
would have wanted to bring him in. They had no interest in him, Charlton.
No.
And they were just a couple games out of making the playoffs last year.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That, again, I think you said it right. If you can get the money, and Boras is a good agent, he got the money for him, you take the money and run. But I think what you were hearing the Dodgers offered, I think that's just smoke screen. I don't think they would have offered him that much money. They just got rid of Yasiel Puig, and he was a home run king. But he has the color because baseball is looking for the great white hype. And I'm no matter what color you are, they do want that image. They want a 6'3" white guy, 260, that can hit home runs. But I just thinking, when you go for a job interview, contrast him juxtaposed to what Kyler Murray's going through down at Oklahoma. Here's a guy who won all the time, helped the Oklahoma Sooners win and get into the college football playoffs, won the Big 12 championship, lost to Alabama, the team that everyone thought was going to win the national championship, Big C. They're measuring his hand size. What a joke. Hand size, foot size, how long his hair is, how fast does he run the 40? Even the NFL Combine, it doesn't really matter. But his numbers are irrefutable. Harper's are not irrefutable. One guy is saying, well, we don't know if he's the right fit. The other guy who hasn't succeeded at all, I mean, really at the rate of being one of the best players, they're making it seem like he's a can't-miss guy. Last thing about Philadelphia, the last times that city's won World Series, 1980 and 2008 when the Phillies last won World Series for that city. And then you look at Nick Foles, who helped the Eagles win their last championship with the Eagles, and he's out of town, and they're bringing in Harper, who couldn't even help the Washington Nationals. And they had POTUS in their backyard. You know he likes white guys. He could have gotten them any kind of favoritism he wanted, and it didn't work. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, it's going to be a challenge for him, Charlton. They got a revamped lineup in Philly. They're going to bring him in, bat and clean up. And if he struggles early on in the season like he did last year in Washington, Charlton,
he will.
And Philly, I mean, these are fans that throw a battery at Santa Claus. Okay? So,
Yeah.
you can imagine what they're going to do to Bryce Harper if he's not hitting 200, Charlton, after the first month of the season.
Yeah, he better be hitting 300 for that kind of money, Big C. I want to say sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. For every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports, whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, a high school team, or your mom and pop soccer league. When you reach out to them, let them know that Big C sent you. Big C, everything seems like the movies nowadays. We hear movie stars make the most money. Why is that? We were just talking about some actors. Steve Harvey makes $40 million a year. He would laugh at baseball money because he didn't even have to bet 125 like Harper or 145, okay? $40 million a year, Steve Harvey. But I want to look at, just coming out of Black History Month, I think they stole some days from us, Big C. I counted my calendar, says 28 days. I'm like, wait, most months have at least 30 to 31 days. I want to ask you about some great black movies. 1962, Gregory Peck and Brock Peters, To Kill a Mockingbird. Those are some great movies that maybe are lost in the shuffle, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you think about To Kill a Mockingbird, Charlton, which was a marvelous theatrical event, Charlton, Gregory Peck was defending a black man that was accused of a crime, back in Jim Crow in the 50s, Charlton, based on, on the writings in this movie, Charlton.
Yeah.
But just a great movie by those two individuals, the great Gregory Peck and Brock Peters. And ironically, years later, Charlton, A Time to Kill was a spinoff of this movie with Sandra Bullock, Matthew McConaughey, and
Sam Jackson was in there
Samuel
also.
L. Jackson, along with Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
Both of those movies had similar parallels, Charlton, and they were great, iconic movies in black history to show the injustice that was put towards black people.
Yeah, always. I mean, we've always had to overcome so much. That's why I'm so proud. It's like the phoenix really is from the African-American diaspora as it left the African continent. All people are the same. We're all the same. We all came from the same source. Big C, I want to get on another movie about one time people thought maybe was a great actor because Hollywood can make you and it can break you. 2016, Kevin Costner and Ty Henson, Hidden Figures. When you think about Hidden Figures, about NASA space exploration, I think there's another rocket flying out Saturday out of Florida, I believe, to put people in space again. But black women again carried that movie, but they were hidden like so many other great gems in society. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, there was a part of history that was lost, the influence of black women into aeronautical space, Charlton, without their mathematical genius of their minds, because computers did not exist, Charlton. Those Mercury rockets would have never orbited the Earth.
Yeah.
And returned.
Yep, and return, Big C. So obviously, and when you get out to space, it's all black, Big C, especially at night time, so they would have been welcome in space more so than in Hollywood. A few other things. 2013, the late Robin Williams and Forrest Whitaker and Lee Daniels, The Butler. I think when you look at Forrest Whitaker, he's one of the most brilliant actors out there, but he's not really mainstream yet. I know people might say, yes, he is, but he's not the top of the line mainstream. As brilliant as he is, and then the late Robin Williams, The Butler was an amazing movie, playing a character that portrayed a lot of what African-American men had to do back in the day, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, during the Harry Truman White House days, this movie was depicting that time, Charlton. But Forrest Whitaker has done so many prominent and great roles in Hollywood. Matter of fact, he was in Black Panther, the last movie that he was in, Charlton, in a starring role. But he has gone the gamut, Charlton, as far as his portrayals in Hollywood, and just a marvelous individual and great talent.
Yeah, I really love what he did. In fact, he's the one that got me drinking purple Kool-Aid. I thought it was the purple herb from the movie Black Panther. The Kool-Aid gave me some power at Big C, but it also had me going to the dentist to get that. I found a cavity because I was drinking that purple Kool-Aid, Big C. Another great, just think about it. In the history of African Americans, I always marvel when I see success and greatness, because really, outside of Native Americans, we're the only group that has been marginalized from the inception of slavery to now. We've had Japanese Americans interned in concentration camps here in the United States of America. Native Americans been pushed off on reservations. At the same time, African Americans have ascended to be the president of the United States. But we're still maligned by POTUS and many other people that want to get a white politician elected. They'll turn to black crime and make that their stance. 1967, Spencer Tracy, Katharine Hepburn, the great Sidney Poitier. Big C, guess who's coming to dinner? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that was a revolutionary movement at the time, and you had an African-American man dating a white woman in a time of Jim Crow. Segregation had not been lifted in America at that point, Charlton.
No.
And so this movie really crossed many barriers. And you think about Sidney Poitier being able to carry that role at that time, Charles. But not only that, the great Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy.
Yeah.
Two prominent figures in Hollywood at that time, Charlton, to star along with him to let know that the racial divide was being lifted in America.
It has always been pushed back. As we juxtapose freedom and slavery, the two common denominators, white Americans, not saying all, but white Americans have benefited from a system that only existed with the oppression of black Americans. It never existed without oppressing another group. They could do it coterminously, do it together, and I think we're pushing for that better society, or better angels, as President Obama always said. 2007, the great Denzel Washington. Big C, remember the Titans?
You know, you think about that movie, Charlton, as a true life portrayal of the great Coach Herman Boone in Virginia, Charlton, who had to go into an integrated school, Charlton.
Yep.
And this is when integration took place in 1970. That he took a team, Charlton, undefeated against all odds when everything was against him, Charlton, but a man of integrity and character. And Denzel Washington portrayed that in the movie so well, Charlton. I mean, one of the more synonymous best sports movies ever done, Charlton. Remember the Titans?
Yeah, I thought Denzel has such a wide range. It's amazing he only won an award for Training Day playing a bad cop, which is played into the stereotype of a lot of people about African-American men. But his work is so much more than that, Big C. I also bring you to one of the most beautiful women in Hollywood. 1992, the great Angela Bassett, the late Whitney Houston, Waiting to Exhale. A lot like what we see men and women going through, the Me Too movement. Waiting to Exhale, it was about just finding herself again. And you think about relationships, you're supposed to build people up, not tear people down. If you want to tear someone down, just let them go. Waiting to Exhale was kind of exemplified of what a lot of relationships go through, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, what it showed was the strength of women, Charlton, how they put men up in front and they stood behind them and backed them in everything that they did. And that was Angela Bassett's role in this movie, Charlton, where her husband, once he ascended to success, all of a sudden he wanted to leave her and the kids behind.
Yeah.
But the strength of a woman, Charlton, showed, and it reared their heads in this movie. And it was an anathema for all women, Charlton.
Yeah.
Waiting to exhale, to let people know that you can breathe on your own.
Yeah, you can breathe on your own. Speaking of breathing, you really got to breathe. You got to be in shape to watch the next movie. 1991, the great Lawrence Fishburne. I love him on Blackish, Big C. I mean, there's a lot of people who are great actors, and they can do TV, they can do commercials, they can do, Hollywood motion pictures. The great Lawrence Fishburne, Cuba Gooding Jr., Ice Cube, Boys in the Hood. I think that movie scared a lot of mainstream because they think, oh, is that really what life is like in the hood? I don't know. I didn't grow up in the hood. But that movie, you can still think about today. And when you think about those actors, all of them are very top quality actors and producers and owners. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that movie was more about poetry and portraying of real life. When you think about what inner city was like for minority children, Charlton, and it was an explanation. It was a story being told, trying to educate youth of how society was genderifying them, Charlton.
Yep.
How they were trying to keep them down, by when you look in those neighborhoods of inner city. You saw a liquor store on every corner, Charlton. You saw gun shops and pawn shops.
Yeah.
But yet you go to Beverly Hills and Brentwood, you did not see those things in Southern California, Charlton. And when you look at what Lawrence Fishburne's role was in that movie, Charlton, as a single father,
yeah,
straightening up the path for his son to get an education, to get himself out of that plight of life, Charlton, that everyone said you could not ascend from.
Yeah.
A marvelous role, and it was an anthem for a lot of young black youth in those days, Charlton.
Big C, 1971, Richard Roundtree and Shaft. I remember hearing just that I was a little boy, but I still saw how a lot of African-American men that I looked up to, they used Richard Roundtree. He was our hero, movie star hero. Of course, you had the great Sidney Poitier, but they had roles that were about strength and power, not about shoot 'em up, bang 'em up, and that kind of mentality, Big C. Your thoughts on the great Richard Roundtree and Shaft?
Richard Roundtree in that role of Shaft, Charles, that was the Black Panther before the Black Panther.
Yeah.
He was an iconic, strong black man, Charlton. He was a detective who took no guff from anybody in that day, Charlton. And to have that striking figure, Charlton, of a black man on the big screen walking around with power and lack of fear, Charlton, that he could live under the rule of the law, Charlton,
Yeah.
and not have fear in his life.
Not have fear in his life. And that I really love the fact that that movie is always exemplified by the new generation of movies. I take you to 2018, the great Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman. Black Panther, amazing. I think about all of the great people who've had the chance to work in Hollywood. There are a lot more who don't make it, but the ones that do, I think Black Panther, it was number one in the universe for the time that it was open, and also it did not open in the number of box offices that a lot of other comic book hero movies were open in. But what did that movie do for young black kids, Big C, seeing that mystical city in Wakanda being led by black men? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it showed the world that ingenuity came from black people, Charlton, that they had the power to create, the knowledge. And we talked about a couple other fine black actors and actresses earlier, not Lawrence Fishburne, but Angela Bassett
Yep.
and Forrest Whitaker. Both had starring roles in the movie Black Panther, Charlton, but it just showed that blacks can carry a movie, Charlton, and not only dominate in the box office, but dominate financially also when given an opportunity.
When given an opportunity, Big C. The 1985, the great Danny Glover, Whoopi Goldberg, the great Oprah Winfrey. The Color Purple is a movie that will live on through infamy. Everybody knows you can portray the tough things that happen in black America, but you also can show how people pulled through it. Life is about overcoming challenges. No matter who you are, what color you are, you got to overcome something. Even when vegetables grow out of the ground, they got to overcome the ground. You got to crack through something. Everybody goes through something. Why does that movie still resonate in your mind, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, you know, it's a very poignant movie to me still today, Charlton, when you think about the hardships and the perseverance, not just against other cultures, Charlton, but internally within your own culture. Black, you know, Color Purple, Charlton, for black people, it was a movie of growth to show what we had to endure during those times, Charlton, and the hardships that were endured on us from our own people and from whites at that time, Charlton.
Yeah.
But it also showed that family and love could overcome all, Charlton.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people have to look at today. I know there's so many things in our country that are just wonderful. I mean, America really is a great place. When you think of where we came from, especially if you're a Caucasian American, you can say America's great, and people say they want to make America great again. It's always been great. But if you want to make America great, think about what African Americans who are ascending, no matter what you're dealing with, we're not enslaved anymore. We don't deal with Jim Crow laws anymore. There's still some ills in society, but we have it so much better than our forefathers. And one movie that pointed it out that I think is still my favorite movie of all time, starring the great Denzel Washington. Don't know why he didn't win an award, but Malcolm X. 1995, Big C. Malcolm X was the Black Panther in reality because it showed a strong people who had the chance to go through changes. And once he went to Mecca and came back, he was a changed man. He never should have had to go through those processes anyway. But why does Malcolm X, not only the late Malcolm X, but the movie resonates so strong in black Americans, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it showed what blacks could do when given an opportunity and when you lived your life the right way. And it showed the fear of white society that when you can bring all cultures together, which Malcolm X was doing in the latter part of his life, just like the late Dr. Martin Luther King, Charlton,
Yeah.
is that you could show that there was no racial divide. That in a country, Charlton, racism was something in the mind. It wasn't about color because when he found out that Muslims were all colors, Charlton, all walks of society,
Yeah.
it changed his insight and belief. And that's what made him dangerous to the American government at that point, Charlton.
Yeah.
Just as it did with Dr. Martin Luther King. When he was able to show poor whites that they were no better off than black people in America,
Yeah.
that created power.
Yeah.
The government could not recognize that. And when you talk about roles of Malcolm X
Yeah.
and Denzel Washington playing that, just like he did in Remember the Titans, Charlton, 2 movies he should have been nominated for an Academy Award, and yet he was shunned on both of those great roles.
Yeah, but it didn't stop him from still being great. Love Denzel's work. I think he's an amazing actor and done so much for a lot of people. Just an incredible person. I wish we could have more of his movies come out, Big C, while he's still a young man. I think we all appreciate youth. I want to go back in the sports genre. And again, I just want to take that moment, Big T, to celebrate, Black History Month. and all life came from the African continent. People can Google that. I'm so tired of hearing people say, no, that's not true. Well, that's why I believe in science. I also want to commend President Obama and Stephen Curry. They just had a set down in Oakland, California, just in the past week or so, and it was multicultural. But it was telling young black men and women and white men and women to read more. Because if we all know where we came from, then no one has to think you're out of character to say that all life began on the African continent. That's science. And our kids need to know science more than who scored how many points in the game. On this day in 1996, Big C, the great Lenny Wilkens, head coach of the Atlanta Hawks. His team beat the Cleveland Cavaliers 74-68. That made Wilkins the first NBA coach to reach 1,000 regular season wins. Not a lot of people know that, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, not only made him the first coach to win 1,000 NBA games, Charlton, but an African-American to do that, Charlton. You think about that, Charlton. In the long history of the NBA, a black coach was the first coach in that historic league, Charlton, to win 1,000 games as a head coach.
Incredible.
Not only did he win these games as a head coach, Charlton, he was a champion. He coached the Seattle Supersonics to the 1978 NBA title, Charlton, when they beat the Washington Bullets at that time. He was a great player during his career, Charlton, also. But you think about that. To have that moniker, Charlton, to be the first coach in NBA history to win 1,000 games as a coach, and it was an African-American, Charlton.
Yeah, that's incredible. And he was given an opportunity, even though a lot more men are given opportunities in the NBA than they are in the NFL. Really just glad to be able to pay homage to someone that has success like the great Lenny Wilkens, and may he continue having, a trail. You need a trail for people, just like we want to do in broadcasting. No one has to like you. In fact, a lot of people won't like you all the time, and very few people will like you all the time. You just got to be who you are, and when your day comes, just make the most of it, Big C. I want to look at one more thing on the college level. The Pac-12, and I know you pick on my guys out here from the West Coast, and I think a lot of us want to say maybe the national champion might come out of the West Coast, might be Gonzaga. Like it said in Star Wars, Obi-Wan, you're our last hope. Maybe Gonzaga will be that last hope. If you look at what's happening on the West Coast, just as the Pac-12 had a team in the top 25, the University of Washington Huskies, the Cal Bears of all teams, ended a 23-game losing streak at Hoss Pavilion, beating the number 25 ranked Huskies 76-73 at home. I don't understand how that happened to Washington, but if you can't stand prosperity at ranked 25, then how do you hope to have success in March Madness? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is what we've talked about, the disparity in talent. When you're a team and you get into the top 25, I think they were just living on their laurels, and they were just happy to be there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you get a team that had, 23 consecutive losses, Charlton, conference losses?
Yeah.
That comes in and knocks you off?
Yeah.
That doesn't bode well when it comes down to the selection committee, Charlton. And we think about all of those great teams in the Pac-12, all those great universities. You got 4 teams there in California. You got UCLA, USC, you got Cal, you got Stanford.
Cal. Yeah.
You got 4 teams in California alone. You got 2 teams in the state of Washington, 2 teams in the state of Oregon, 2 teams in the state of Arizona.
Yeah.
Nobody can stay in the top 25, Charlton. What's wrong with that conference all of a sudden?
Well, as
it was always known as a football power in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, Charlton.
Yeah.
But that conference has fallen on hard times. UCLA has won 11 national championships out there. That illustrious program, Charlton.
Last one in 95, though.
But when you think about it, I mean, there's nobody alive on that program. Nobody in that program that was alive at that time.
Yeah.
So, but you think about it, and it's just, where has the great sports teams of the West Coast gone to?
Yeah, I think a lot of them are going into maybe just entertainment. Maybe everybody wants to be a movie star, Big C. Tonight, when you think of NCAA basketball, only one game tonight's men's top 25. That's number 21 Buffalo. They're at Miami of Ohio. How can Buffalo have a team that's ranked in the top 25 and not USC, UCLA, not Cal, Stanford, not Oregon, not Washington any longer, not Arizona? That doesn't make any sense. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that's just the flow of talent, Charlton, that has gone to the east, the south, the Northeast, Charleston. But you think about it. You got the number 1 team in the country in Spokane, Washington.
Yeah.
You got the number 21 team in the country in Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, yeah.
And so, who would have figured that, 20 years ago on the landscape, did anybody know there was a university in Spokane, Washington, and in Buffalo, New York?
Maybe some of the kids out there, and that might be about it, Big C. Some of the farmers out there, the rice farmers, Big C. The NFL, they're going to increase their cap in 2019 to $188.2 million. That's up from $177.2 million in 2018. I know that some people said the NFL, I'm not watching the NFL anymore if they have guys taking a knee. Money's going up, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I guess as your president said, they're losing in every capacity. They're losing fans, they're losing sponsors, they're losing money. Well, if you can increase your salary cap, Charlton, $11 million the next season, Charlton, I'm trying to figure out where have you lost that if you're the NFL.
Yeah.
And we know that by 2025, they're expecting their revenue to be $27 billion, Charlton.
Yeah.
Okay, so all those naysayers that say that the NFL is over because the way the black players are portraying themselves. No, Charlton, the ratings and the money is going up because of the way the black players are portraying themselves.
Yeah, it does, Big C. Couple of NBA news. We have the Mike Budenholzer named Eastern Conference Coach of the Month. The Milwaukee Bucks doing a great job. And then I want to get your thoughts. We all talk about how great players are. We talked about earlier this year or this week, Big C. We talked about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I mean, it's hard to argue that he's the best player in the history of the basketball universe. Not many people can argue that. But last night, James Harden, he was up to his old self again. He dropped 58 points, 10 assists on the Miami Heat, and a 121-118 comeback win. I thought they were done in that game. The Heat are really I don't know why Dwayne Wade wants to retire, number one. He was just a motivational figure. I know he wants to spend time with his family. But Harden back to himself again, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, James Harden, I mean, he was the reason why they stayed in the chase, Charlton, when they had all those injuries in the lineup. But he was the reason why they won last night. When they were down, you turned to your hot hand, and that's James Harden.
Yeah.
You pumped in 58 points, Charlton, and I believe that's his fourth 50-point game of the season.
Yeah.
But the Rockets needed all 58 of those to overcome the Miami Heat. So James Harden and the Rockets go as James Harden goes, Charlton.
Yeah.
We keep thinking that they're going to have a balanced lineup. We know they won one game when he didn't play, Charlton, against the Warriors, but I don't think they can win many games with him not getting point production.
No, that's true, Big C. Tonight's NBA matchup as we close out on Big C Sports on March 1st, Chicago at Atlanta. We have Charlotte at Brooklyn. Of course, I'm going with Brooklyn on that one. We have Portland at Toronto. Now, Portland's on a roll. They're not the old Portland from last year that could get knocked out easily by New Orleans. They're at Toronto. That's going to tell us a lot about who Portland is. Give me your thoughts on that one, Big C.
Well, Charlton, this is a game that Portland needs. They need to show that they can win on the road. Toronto's the second best team in the East. But, Portland still has some horses out there, Charlton. They get overshadowed every year by Golden State, and now Denver has risen up, and they overshadow them, Charlton.
Yep.
But, they're a team that this year could finally be a hard out in the playoffs.
Yeah, we'll find out that you have Washington at Boston. Big C, what's happened to the Boston Celtics? What happened to that leprechaun? Their magic is gone, your thoughts?
Well, what happened to the Boston Celtics, Charlton, is Brad Stevens. Everybody wanted to anoint him as the great next mind in the NBA.
Yeah.
But the problem with him is that he could not manage the lineup that he had. He was too busy worrying about getting those veterans back in the lineup.
Yeah.
People looked at him when he was at Butler, Charlton, in the college ranks. What he had was a lot of underachievers, okay, that he got the most out of. Coming to the NBA, Charlton, you're full of a team of superstars that you got to learn how to manage what they have. He hasn't mastered that, Charlton. The first couple of years, I think he sat back and allowed the players just to play because he wasn't used to having that much talent. Now that he has to manage a team full of talent, Charlton, this is where he struggled all year long. And I look at the media constantly trying to pass it off on Kyrie Irving.
Yep.
They're not passing it off on the coach, but if it was in Los Angeles, they say the problem was Luke
Walton.
Okay?
Yep.
But in Boston, it's the same scenario. Boston has way more talent than what Los Angeles has, and yet Boston is struggling from the coaching position.
Very much so. Big C, tonight we have New Orleans at Phoenix, two bad organizations. The Clippers at the Kings up in Sacramento State Capitol. Those teams are competing to see who's going to represent that 8th spot. There's a lot of action going on. Really, we are really in the NBA playoffs right now, whether it's San Antonio, whether it's the Clippers or the Kings or even the Lakers. Give me your thoughts on LA coming into Sacramento. The Kings challenge all the great teams to within a one possession, it seems. Your thoughts on the Clippers coming to Sacramento tonight?
Well, Charlton, if you look at the gap between the Kings and the Lakers,
yeah,
I don't see the Kings being able to beat the Clippers because all these games, Charlton, are positioning the Lakers to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Every time you see the Kings lose, the Lakers are winning.
Yeah.
That's a full game swing, Charlton, every night in the NBA. And I see the Kings here on out, Charlton, losing at least 12 games the rest of the way, and the Lakers winning 15. Getting into the playoffs, the Kings are going to be the odd team looking out.
You look at Milwaukee tonight at the Lakers, Big C. You have Giannis versus King James. Give me your thoughts on what we might see down at Staples Center. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I don't see any way that the Lakers can beat the Bucks, Charlton. Not with this lineup that the Milwaukee Bucks have, Charlton.
Yeah.
They just outman the Lakers. I mean, Giannis is a neutralizing factor for James, but they have nobody on the Lakers roster who can handle this big man, Charlton, because he can play all 5 positions.
Yeah.
And they have a core of great shooters, Charlton. You watch the Bucks tonight. Their starting 5, Charlton, will all be in double figures.
Last 2 games I wanted to get your thoughts on, but tonight we have, over the weekend, on Saturday, Detroit's at Cleveland, Orlando's at Indiana, Brooklyn's at Miami, Memphis at Dallas, we have New Orleans at Denver, the Lakers at Phoenix, Milwaukee at Utah. I want to get about 30 seconds of your thought on these 2 games. Golden State at Philadelphia, and then OKC at San Antonio. Your thoughts?
Well, when I look at the Warriors in Philadelphia, Embiid is going to be out with some tendonitis in the knee. Yeah, and so, this is a game that the Warriors are desperately going to need to have, Charlton, because they got to assert their dominance back in the East.
Yeah.
When I look at OKC, Charlton, they come off a tough loss the other night against Denver.
Yeah.
And Denver is going to, be there in the running in the West, Charlton.
Yeah.
But OKC, when you let Westbrook try to run the offense, Charlton, and not go through Paul George, that's where they have problems there.
Yeah, give the ball to Paul. Big C, what a great Black History Month we've had back in the day. There was a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, we got this tremendous weekend of basketball coming up, but we also got 4 weeks until the start of the Major League Baseball season, Charlton. Ironically, it's already here. March Madness in basketball and baseball.
March Madness is here. And speaking of madness, you can hear madness every Monday through Friday at 5 to 6 p.m. worldwide when you follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever an excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.